And I've told you this once before, can't control me. If you try to take me down, you're gonna break. And I feel your every nothing that you're doing for me. I'm thinking you ought to make your own way. I stand alone inside. I stand alone, stand alone, stand alone.
They must be ready for the truth to come out about that Miami Mall incident. Because before, if you search for videos about it, you couldn't find anything. Now the videos are resurfacing. I'm talking about videos from 2024 when it actually happened. People who were actually there. Matter of fact, look at this shit. This video is from January 2024.
This shit is so crazy.
Listen.
I'm posting this, and I want y'all to repost, save this video, post it on other platforms before it gets taken down. Because I want to clear up some of this misinformation about the Bayside Mall incident that happened. So me and my girl was in town, and we were shopping at the mall, and we noticed a lot of kids there. It wasn't a real big deal at first until they got to arguing, shoving, and then like weapons got brought in, and they started fighting, running all over the mall, chaos just all over the place. So we thought we heard gunshots, but it turns out that was actually fireworks. But either way, that caused everybody to start rushing for the doors. People was leaving stuff behind. I mean, just dragging their kids. It was just complete fucking chaos, man. Anyway, so as we running, we look back and we noticed some weird shapes taller than me. I'm 6'2", shadowy, dark, solid shapes. Not human. I promise these is not human. I mean, it made the hair stand up on my skin. And shit, we just booked it for the doors after that, man.
Something happened that day, and they hid it from that day. Now, let me ask you this. Why are these videos resurfacing now? You heard President Obama say that there are aliens. You heard the president say that he's going to release the alien files. And then, mysteriously after that, they start releasing these videos all over again, or unblocking these videos. Go down the Miami Mall rabbit hole. Look up a person named Fitz. See what Fitz said. See what he said happened. He gave a visual story about what happened. He has a 7-part series story about everything that happened in that mall. There is no way that teenage kids would mandate that many police to come to a mall. They seen something, and the proof is coming out. I'm out.
Guys, I don't have much time, so I just wanted to show you a clip of what I saw. Just people.
Oh my god, I've got it on camera, I've got it on camera.
There was like a reptilian on there. He moved out from behind the beam and we could see him, and it kind of took my breath away. It was such a frightening thing to look at. And I think the reptilian may have been piloting the craft. And there was a gray. It seemed like I heard him in my head, and he was kind of thinking, why would these people do this to one of their own people? They told us it was the moon. We were taken off and then we were conducted to these buildings. I worked in some excavation equipment and it used electromagnetism to excavate. Then at night I wasn't allowed to sleep. I was kind of passed around. I have a little girl to go back home to, so I was pretty compliant. There are extraterrestrial bases on the other side of the moon as well. And I saw an exchange, and the ET was saying, you have no idea who you have there. Do you realize that everything you're doing to her gets reported back to her people?
What did the ET mean by her people?
I'm part of a fifth dimensional extraterrestrial race that's monitoring what's going on the planet.
What the fuck is that, guys? Got something. I don't know what it is. I just caught it going from the clouds right now. See, I'm on a cloud. It's super tiny. I was just searching. There it is. Let's try to focus. Loosen it, change the focus. Looks like this is the optimal focus. Shit. It is. I have to zoom into it without losing it. Out in the daytime right now. What are you? Shit. What are you? Fudge. I keep losing it. There you are. Shit, there you are. Come on, refocus. What is that? What is that? I'm afraid to zoom in because if I do, I just can't hold steady enough. What the hell? What is this? I'll stay on it as long as I can. Camera's facing upwards towards the south by the 10 freeway in Los Angeles. It keeps losing focus of it. Is the camera just shaking too much? Damn it, again. So hard to zoom in and hold it. Let's try this technique. What the fuck is that, guys? I'm recording on the P1000. Crap. This camera needs like a remote zoom option because if I keep hitting zoom with my hand, I just lose it. I'm gonna try to snap a photo of this guy. Okay, I'm gonna go to photo mode.
Trevor, one of my favorite stories I don't know enough about is the alien intervention when there was going to be a nuclear attack, or there was one that was accidental. And I'm just fascinated by this because I do believe they want to help. I do and then, God, these poor guys. Perhaps we did create them as a slave society to build pyramids and everything else, and they're so limited and let's help them.
Yeah.
What happened with that nuclear intervention stuff?
So there's been a few of them, but the main one, like the American one, is the Maelstrom Air Force Base incident, where there's like this red orb that kind of comes to the front gate, and they're calling it in. Everybody's freaking out, like nobody knows what it is. And then all of the missiles, the underground intercontinental ballistic missiles, started to go offline, but they're not connected. None of them are connected. They're all independent networks. Each one is its own, and each one just shut down. And, the theory, like in the UFO community, is just they wanted to show us, like, we can turn these things off.
Yeah.
There was also apparently an incident in Russia where they turned them on, and those ones were, like, pointed at us, and then they turned them back off. But, like, it seems like they like to demonstrate they can control the nukes.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anyone knows the darkest secrets of the UAP legacy program, it is General Neil McCasland, Major General Neil McCasland. This guy is, honestly, he is one of the most important people in the US military establishment in terms of secret stealth programs. I was just going through it. He's held senior roles overseeing classified space weapons, advanced aerospace research programs, and he's basically, most recently, he served as the head of research at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which of course is notorious in UFO lore because that is where the alleged Roswell crash remnants, the remnants from the crash of allegedly 2 UFOs that collided, were taken in 1947. He was also the commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory. He was the Director of Special Programs in the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense. He was the Director of Space Acquisition, Office of the Undersecretary of the Air Force. He has served, Major General Neil McCasland has served at the very highest levels of the US military, the US Air Force.
Arkadaşlar şu anda mezardayız. Çok ürkütücü. Az önce de zaten domuz saat 10'a yakalandık. Evet, mezarlık. Burada 3 harflerin dolaştığı iddia ediliyor.
Evet arkadaşlar.
Evet.
Şimdi çekime arkada bak devam edeceğiz.
Şey olmuş. Arif. Hayır hayır hayır. Motor bekle.
Işık yanıyor beyler.
Işık yanıyor evet beyler. Şimdi yanmaya başladı. Işık yanmaya başladı.
Evet.
Görüyorsunuz. Kamera görünmüyor. Yaklaşalım istersen.
Around 2 a.m. in February 2017, an anonymous person posted on 4chan. The caption read, 24489, taken approximately 24 miles northwest of Luke Air Force Base, Phoenix, Arizona, Lab H4C. Attached was an image of what appeared to be an alien, and it was only visible for seconds before the entire site crashed. And when it came back online, the post was gone. They had scrubbed everything, there was no more picture. They said it didn't look like the classic gray. It had dark yellowish skin. It was dry, dehydrated, fine-scaled, almost reptilian, a head large at the top and narrowing sharply at the jaw. Some remembered shriveled, pruned eyelids. Others said the eyes reflected the flash and looked massive and dark. It had tiny, tight lips, a faint smirk, an expression that looked aware, like it knew it was being photographed. And the background was a pitch-black desert, lit only by a powerful camera flash. Some even remembered a dead tree or dry desert bushes off to one side. And what makes it really creepy isn't just all the details, it's how real they say it looked. They say it didn't look like CGI or a quick Photoshop job. They said it looked organic, textured, disturbingly authentic. People often call it the alien selfie. After that happened, people tried to recover it. They searched archive sites. They checked automated capture logs. Some people even claimed they got partial screenshots. And other people have recreated it from memory. There's a whole bunch of different versions that have been circulating for years. Some people claim they've recovered fragments of the original image. There's still no confirmed official file, but if part of it was saved before the crash, it's possible pieces of the real image were mixed in with later recreations, which means one of the versions floating around today might actually contain fragments of the original. We just don't know which one.
Out of nowhere from over here. Can't see anything. What are they like?
So bright.
Are they meteorites? Like, no, looks like they're. It looks like it looks. It looks like they're.
Those move too fast. There's no way. Well, I love you guys. See ya.
¡Hostia! ¿Qué es cielo? Pero esto no es normal, ¿eh? ¿Pero qué coño, qué carajo pasa aquí? ¡Me cago en Diola! ¿Pero qué carajo está pasando aquí? ¡Hostia! ¡Cago en la hostia! ¡Cago en Diola! ¡Para la máquina! ¡Para la máquina! ¿Qué carajo pasa?
No sé, hombre, deixa un poquito que
esto no es normal.
Que esto, que deixa estar.
¡Apaga!
In 1899, Nikola Tesla believed he had intercepted a message from the stars. He was experimenting with a high-frequency receiver, an early design for long-range radio transmission. But what came through wasn't static. It was patterned, repetitive. Tesla believed it was artificial, a signal, not from Earth. Decades later, other radio operators reported hearing something similar. Bursts of unexplained transmissions, unmapped frequencies. It didn't stop there. In 1954, newspapers across the U.S. reported that the Air Force had detected 2 satellites orbiting Earth. But at the time, no country on Earth had the capability to launch anything into space. Sputnik wouldn't launch for another 3 years. So what were they tracking? The object was dark. It moved in a polar orbit, something impossible with the propulsion systems of the time. Polar orbits aren't designed for communication. They're built for surveillance. The object didn't match any known satellite, and it didn't respond to any known frequency. Some dismissed it as misidentified debris. Others called it ancient. It would later be named the Black Knight satellite. But long before that, there was another reference. Stranger, older. A quatrain attributed to Nostradamus spoke of a machine in the heavens sent by the Watchers, rediscovered by man, and feared for what it would reveal. Whether that's prophecy or coincidence, it's hard to ignore how closely the language fits. A machine in orbit, not ours, waiting to be found. In 1998, during the STS-88 space shuttle mission, astronauts photographed something that shouldn't have been there. A large irregular object hanging in low Earth orbit, angular, black. NASA labeled it a piece of insulation that had come loose. But the image is clear. It doesn't look like debris. It looks designed. No nation has claimed it. No origin has been traced. Some believe it's been up there for thousands of years. A probe, a relic, a piece of ancient technology left behind to observe us. A satellite from the Watchers. If it's real, if it's what some believe it is, then we've been under surveillance since before we knew how to look back. In October 2017, astronomers at the University of Hawaii detected something strange. A long, thin object was moving through the solar system. It wasn't in orbit. It wasn't from here. This was the first time humanity had ever observed something from interstellar space entering our system. They named it Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning a messenger from afar, arriving first. But the name only deepened the questions. It didn't behave like a comet. There was no tail, no outgassing. It was rotating, erratically, every 8 hours. Then, as it passed the sun, it accelerated. No known physics could explain how it changed course, not without propulsion. And yet, Oumuamua didn't emit heat, radiation, or chemical discharge. No evidence of fuel, just motion, unexplained, precise. Some scientists said it was natural, a fragment from another solar system.
Listing all the reported extraterrestrials. Part 1. The Greys. Did you know these aliens are the most reported ones worldwide? The Greys are described as small beings with large heads and huge black eyes. They're often linked to abductions and strange experiments. The most famous case? The Betty and Barney Hill incident in 1961. This couple claimed to have been abducted by Greys in New Hampshire. Their story became one of the first widely publicized alien abduction accounts. Have you heard of this case? In the next video, we'll dive into the reptilians. Don't miss it.
I phoned the general. Before I could even say hello and how are you, he said every word is true and more. And he said that there had in fact been face-to-face meetings between United States officials and extraterrestrials from other star systems. And with that assurance, I decided to go public that UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying over your head. I would not attempt to say how many terrestrials are living on Earth at the present time. I have reports of several species that are here and have bases here. There's one species that looks something like a praying mantis. And then the short grays or the tall grays look much different. They look more like humans. And the Nordic blondes, for example, are so similar to humans that they can walk down the street and not be detected. None of them are exactly the same. They are way ahead of us in medicine, agriculture, and still, I guess, presumably in technology. There's no question the U.S. government took this whole idea of advanced technology very seriously and started back engineering and spending a lot of money on it soon after the crashes at Roswell in 1947. They have a very interesting way of keeping things quiet, and that is everything is on a need to know. So you could be working in a lab, or you could be making some kind of piece of machinery, and you wouldn't know what it was for. And then the guy that gets it, he would only know what it fits into. And this goes all the way up to the ladder. The rating was higher, the security rating was higher than for the H-bomb. So one of the top, and still is. That's the way it works.
Which technologies are you certain that have been shared with us from extraterrestrials?
Fiber optics, microchips, Kevlar, and improved lasers, and a whole range of things where their technology was much improved or advanced from ours, light years ahead, really, I think. Those were just the obvious ones that were fed into American industry, and more have been since. There had been lots of visits to Earth, probably going back thousands of years, but the level of activity took on a new dimension after the first atomic bomb was set off at New Mexico in 1945. And all of a sudden, the number of sightings increased because they know something we don't know, and that is every atomic bomb that is put off on Earth has an effect on other parts of the cosmos. They were concerned about it. The children are playing with matches. They're afraid that we're going to blow up our planet so that it would be uninhabitable both for ourselves and for visits from them. So they came down in larger numbers and have been taking inventory of all the American bases, the Russian bases, Chinese bases, all of the bases, doing inventories, finding out exactly where they are, where the nuclear installations, the power installations are, and all that sort of thing. For what purpose exactly, I don't know, but so that they will have the information on tap if we should start doing anything silly, that they might in fact try to intervene. There are a couple of well-known cases. There was one in western United States where a UFO was looking at their intercontinental ballistic missiles and putting them out of action. This was despite precautions and fail-safe devices that were designed to make sure that that never happened. So this, of course, was a matter of great concern to the United States Air Force, and they spent months and months investigating it and trying to figure out what they had to do to if possible, to protect the invulnerability of their bases.
Area 51 became, for a time at least, a sort of extraterrestrial embassy, the setting for mankind's first attempt at diplomacy with beings from another world. Different sources disagree as to how communication was established. There is universal agreement that the EBEs are incapable or unwilling to speak human language. In addition to the pictographs used by EBE-1, it has been reported by Falcon that in the early 1950s, EBE-2 was fitted with some sort of artificial voice box, allowing him to speak words, and that he learned the English language very rapidly. Other sources doubt this story, however.
By our kind, do you mean we Americans?
What has been reported most persistently is that the aliens communicate via thought projection, or telepathy.
They would have been tortured, made to give up their secrets, instead of questioned in this friendly manner.
We cannot be forced to communicate.
Has it been tried? Not by us.
We speak to who's ever willing to listen.
The idea of telepathic communication with alien beings carries with it the same doubts and controversy attached to telepathy itself. Do the practitioners of this ancient art really have the ability to read minds? Or are they crafty charlatans who simply tell the listener what he or she wants to hear? If the cynics are right, then the self-proclaimed telepaths recruited by the government in the 1950s were playing an astoundingly daring hoax by claiming to speak for the mute visitors from the stars. Defenders of telepathy call this notion preposterous.
Over near my water well was a very large 7.5-foot lizard snake. He wore a uniform with a triangular patch. Standing there, all of a sudden I was speaking to its mind and it was speaking back to my mind. He said, I'm a scientist and I'm here collecting data. To me, he was like a captain of all these other grays, or what they call the grays, and he started showing me these pictures on this touch screen. He told me his name and I couldn't say his name. The frequency of his name hurt my ears, but I wasn't afraid. I just thought it was really cool at that point. And I lived with that for about 20 years.
I want to hear no bitching about the quality of this video and the audio, because this is just the only way I'd be able to do this, okay? I can't download it. I can't do nothing else. It'll only let me screen record it. That's why I do it, okay? Okay, here you go. Thank you. You're welcome.
It's a fucking cloud with lights in it. Moving weird. I've never seen no shit like that. Cloud got sparkly lights in it. I've never seen no shit like that. Moving weird. You see the sparkling lights in it.
Never seen no shit like this in my life.
Representative of the Ashdown Galactic, speaking to you. For many years you have seen us as lights and experiments. We speak to you now, you self-esteem as we have done to your brothers and sisters all over this, your planet Earth. We come to warn you of the destiny of your race and your world, so that you may communicate to your fellow beings the course you must take to avoid the disaster which threatens your world and the beings on other worlds around you. This is your way share in great awakening as the planet passes into a new age of Aquarius. The new age will be a time of great peace and liberation for your race, but only if your rulers are made aware of the evil forces that can overshadow their domains. Be still now, and listen, for your chance may not come again. All your weapons of evil must be removed. The time for conflict is now past, and the race of which you are a part may proceed to the higher stages of its evolution, if you show yourselves worthy to do this. You have but a short time to learn to live together in peace and goodwill. Small groups all over the planet are learning this, and exist to pass on the light of the dawning new age to you all. You are free to accept the
makes the kitchen floor length 1 this wide. Many go as wide as this. Then they run out.
Here now, the voice of Rimon, representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command, speaking to you. Be aware also that there are many false prophets and guides operating on your world. They will suck your energy from you, the energy you call money, and will put into evil hands, giving you worthless costs in return. But your divine self will protect you from this. You must be utterly sensitive to the voice within you, that can tell you what is true Learn to listen to the voice of truth.
Such a really appreciate that we can I insist on the little full of only really choice ingredients. I can
Cats have 9 lives.
Well, that's
keep on learning yourself and just the ways of your planet This is the Ashtar Galactic Command, thank you for your attention. We are now leaving the days of your existence. May you be blessed by the supreme love and true
use your imagination.
The crafts originated from a planet that orbited the Zeta Reticuli star system. Zeta Reticuli 1 and Zeta Reticuli 2 are two stars of a binary star system. The craft allegedly came from there. One or two autopsy photographs I saw dealt with just a small photograph, a bust shot essentially, just head, shoulders, and chest of an alien where the chest was cut open in T fashion and one single organ was removed. From that photograph, it looked like what you see in UFO lore as the typical gray. So how tall it was from what I could see, I couldn't tell because I only saw a portion of the photograph. But if everything else you see is correct, I would imagine it was 3.5 or 4 feet tall.
Stay right there. Where you at? Where you at, baby boy? Yep, here in Aurora, Colorado, looking at this. Here. Crazy. Wow. Ridiculously crazy. It's like it knows I'm looking at it. Wow. It's taking up my whole screen now. And no, I'm not zooming in or out or anything else like that. I'm out here walking my dog. Get over here, baby. Crazy as hell.
The gray ones, what kind of a deal we got going with them? Is that
I think we made a deal with them, and their ultimate, what they want to do is regenerate their own race. Now, apparently, they've either had some kind of nuclear accident, or they're on the backside of a evolutionary genetic curve, and they're going downhill instead of uphill. And we believe that they use the parts of the cattle for food or genetic experiment, and the people are abducted. They do all kinds of experiments. They give them shots, they poke them, they cut them. That we finally recognized that we had made a disastrous mistake, and that's when MJ-12 realized that they were in deep trouble. They had made a deal with these people, and it had not worked out, and now the question was what to do.
There is a video from 2008. It certainly is one of the best videos we've ever seen close up of what purports to be a UFO. Do you know anything about that one? It's supposed to be from Istanbul, Turkey.
There's a video which is called a Comburgus video, which is a close-up of a craft. In fact, so close that you can see the occupants. It is 100% real, and I was there as that was filmed. We were on the beach and filming out over the water. The camera that we were using had a 400 millimeter lens on it and an electronic doubler. So as we pushed on the craft, it got more clear and more clear and more clear, and when we centered on it, those are the shots that became famous. Also, I think the audience would like to know that footage was taken by the Cirrus UFO organization to a university in Istanbul, and their optical physicists went over that with a fine-tooth comb, and it was on all the major television broadcasts in Turkey that that was the real McCoy. There was no faking, there was no trickery of the camera. It talked about the reflected light off of the craft, which was coming from the full moon, and that the areas where you see the occupants are some kind of a backlighting.
So you're going to create a wormhole on demand?
You should be able to. That's what my research showed.
So walk me through, how do I get to Alpha Centauri by engineering a traversable wormhole?
Well, you're going to create...
Eric Davis, you are kind of synonymous with UFO science. You have an amazing background at Aerospace Corporation, Earth Tech. You've worked with NASA Lewis. Eric Weinstein, you are a math PhD from Harvard, who has dared to present a theory of everything in physics.
The alleged Roswell crash was real. There was a there. It really happened.
How is it possible that something this large that involves this many people has zero incontrovertible pieces of evidence?
Do you dispute the existence of atomic weapons because you can't access it?
I can't access it.
Oh, you can access it.
I have no idea what we just did.
It is a crash retrieval, 9 human intelligence, 9 human technology.
How many of those crash retrieval program people have you met?
I think it's 5 total. There's no physics in it.
It doesn't make any sense.
Say again?
It defies the laws of physics. We haven't made progress. We have no physicists. How are they doing on this project decades in?
This thing is not a Manhattan Project, and you know what the Manhattan Project was.
Not one of these proposals excites me. They're boring as sin. I don't like GR. Why are you not tweaking it?
I don't have intuition on how I could tweak it.
Are there propulsion modalities that you're high conviction in that transcend chemical combustion?
Yeah, it goes way beyond even advanced.
Are you aware of reports that we are being
monitored?
Made to know that we do not control our space?
Yes.
When you see smoke at this level, the question is, what is the nature of the fire? There are different fires.
But there is
there's a smoke machine.
Or there's a smoke machine.
Right. Epstein was running many different programs. It wasn't even Epstein probably running. Look, I believe we can leave. And if you believe you can leave, you have to imagine that you're being visited.
Ignition sequence start. How is this possible?
Nothing too unusual about that.
Their existence cannot longer be denied.
They're not that long range though.
Wait, what is that? What is that? No, honestly, like, what is that?
At 12:50 a.m., the security alarm goes off, says there's an intruder. After playing back the footage, the homeowner was confused. What happened here? I personally watched this footage over and over again, and the only excuse I can come up with was possibly a direct energy weapon or something interdimensional. You do hear a loud blast going off, and then on camera you see a shockwave begin to roll by. This definitely goes down as unexplainable. Leave your thoughts below.
Five alien races that came to help humanity. Number 5, the Vegans, described as tall, luminous beings from Vega who guide our biological evolution from afar. Number 4, the tall whites, distant, emotionless, but rumored to have shared knowledge with early governments to avoid global catastrophe. Number 3, the blue avians, bird-like entities seen in ancient carvings, said to protect the balance between human choice and cosmic law. Number 2, the Arcturians, known as master healers, appearing in dreams and visions during times of personal awakening. Number 1, the Andromedans, wise, tall humanoids said to monitor Earth silently, watching over us as we reach the edge of our next evolution. Do you believe some aliens are here to help? Comment helpers if you do.
1
والله ما ادري.
طاير والله.
يا شيخ ما هو طاير. يرجى كان فضائي.
ده هو الكذاب.
شوف. طب السيارة؟
In the New World Order, we'll start. Yeah.
An implant in your leg that they were working on to amplify to help secure the connection between you and the ETs. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, so after one of those missing time episodes, I felt like something was in my leg. Like you could feel it. Yeah, I think it's still there. I don't know.
Which one?
It was on my right thigh.
Is that separate from the triangle mark? Two different legs?
It's next to it.
Next to it.
Yeah, so all the marks are like, in a row, kind of curved on my leg, and the scoop marks on the left leg. But whatever that was, like I remember that hurt. Like there was a healing process after. Like my leg was all bruised up, and it felt like there was something under there. It's since healed up, and it's I haven't had any official testing done.
It's not only
UFO library. It's about the unknown.
So how many countries do you have files from?
Oh, I don't know. I have no answer to that, but we have Japanese files, for instance, and Russian files.
Wow.
And they went out in the field and brought back debris.
What?
From this crashed object. They were standing on the other edge of this carriage, and they had very tight helmets, small heads, and some gloves. She was 8 meters from them.
Meet Klaus Svahn, journalist, author, and one of the world's most impressive UFO researchers. He's a real-life Swedish Fox Mulder, and that's because he's basically in possession of the modern X-Files. I'm not kidding. Since the early 1970s, Svahn has not only reported on the phenomena for Sweden's largest newspaper, but he's spent decades building, organizing, and preserving what is widely recognized as the world's largest UFO archive, the Archives of the Unexplained. This 16-room building houses detailed witness reports, photographs, audio recordings, radar data, video, and original first-generation documents that no longer exist anywhere else. Time travel? There's a time travel section? What is this, Brown and Burridge? Townsend Brown. Yeah.
I went to Eureka, California. I met with this guy in his garage. We packed it all together and sent it back to Sweden. Behind you here is the oldest UFO group in the world, Borderland Science Research Association.
What? There's something very interesting about them. They were new more than intelligence in certain cases in the 40s. In this episode, we go over a half-century of overlooked evidence, radar-tracked objects executing impossible right-angle turns, military helicopters nearly colliding with wingless craft, sonar and radar returns, and of course, covert European UFO crash retrieval operations.
The 5 alien races that dominated Earth, Part 1. The Anunnakis. Thousands of years before recorded history, they arrived from the stars. Ancient Sumerians called them Anunnaki, gods of heaven and earth. But they were not gods. They were genetic engineers. They altered early humans, mixing their DNA to create a new species, us. Not out of kindness, but to build a workforce, to mine Earth's gold, to serve their empire. Entire civilizations rose under their rule. Sumer, Babylon, Egypt, each one carrying fragments of their truth, hidden in symbols, tablets, and myths. Some say they left. Others believe they never did, that their blood runs through the elites, and their plans are still in motion. Were we created to be free or to be controlled? Comment Anunnaki if you think they're still pulling the strings.
There's a live arrest warrant out on you now, right?
Yeah.
You can't go to the U.S. now.
I'm on the Interpol red list.
The biggest military computer hack in all time.
We talked about the case of computer hacker Gary McKinnon, on which the Prime Minister has expressed very clear views.
Well, on Mr. McKinnon, we have proceeded through all the processes required under our extradition agreements.
I was just a guy, normal guy, interested in UFOs, happened to have some IT skills, nothing genius level.
You hacked into the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Department of Defense, and NASA.
They wanted to put you in prison for 60 years, so...
70.
For 70 years.
And I bought potassium chloride. I was just going to swallow it and have a heart attack and die.
Oh my God.
Mr. McKinnon is accused of serious crimes.
The reason that you are here today on this show is because what you found.
He found, he says, photographic proof of alien spacecraft and the names and ranks of something he called non-terrestrial officers.
I was in my dressing gown up till like 4 in the morning, smoking weed, drinking beer. Ride of my life, really. The first one I looked at was the one where I saw the picture. And so I double-clicked this. But it was very, very slow. I was on a 56K dial-up. And I was just thinking, my God, this is my eureka moment. Then there's like slowly a hemisphere started appearing. And I'm thinking, fuck, that's a planet. What the hell? And then suddenly there's a big, straight, kind of silvery line. Cigar-shaped object. I see the mouse move and someone else is at the computer themselves. They right-clicked, disconnect, and boom. And that was it. I was cut out.
What do you think photographed it?
Very good question. This spreadsheet was titled Non-Terrestrial Officers. So, not on the Earth. And that was incredible. I had one very strange experience that I can't explain to this day. I was suddenly woken up by a really sharp pain. Then immediately I just went, oh. In my left heel, there were 2 perfectly circular holes.
Whoa. Weird.
Explain what's going on quickly.
I can't turn my phone off. You can see my finger is on the power button and both. This is like a hard reset.
That's never happened before.
Absolutely, it's never happened before.
But you're with Gary McKinnon.
The 10 most terrifying alien races ever seen. Number 8, the insectoids. They don't feel fear, and they don't understand mercy. Reported in abductions around the world, the insectoids stand 7 to 9 feet tall, with elongated limbs, spiked joints, and a hard chitinous exoskeleton. Their faces resemble a mantis, long, sharp, and unreadable. Their massive black eyes don't blink. They only observe coldly. Unlike other alien races, the insectoids show no interest in contact. They extract, they study, they vanish. Some say they serve a higher species. Others believe they are the true architects of the abductions. What do you think? Do you believe there are aliens that look like insects? Comment insectoid if you believe something non-human is behind the missing.
Being followed by a freaking helicopter. What the hell? I just now pulled up. Smells like something's burning. That is nuts.
You know, this sighting, we are very disconcerted by this thing in the sky.
What is this?
We don't know how to call it. Just watch carefully. And it's morphing itself. What can it be? This is in Mexico City. A video by one of our most respected sky watchers. But look, the lights and the strange dark like cloud or like strange substance around. I mean, these are the kind of sightings that we are having now in Mexico.
It's like a cloud with and it has energy inside, or what? Or what?
And it's huge.
There are indeed aliens, and at least 70 different species, and probably more. But in July 2nd, 1947, that was the first crash.
First crash of an alien spaceship.
Of an alien spaceship.
Now you say we recovered alien bodies from that incident, right?
4 from that particular crash, yes. As odd as it sounds, there are the Nordics. They're about 7 feet tall, look like us, but they're invariably blonde hair and blue-eyed. We see the little gray ones. They're about 4.5 feet tall. They're one of the species that we have on ice. One of their crashes we recovered.
Obviously, with different species, they have different motives. I mean, are there good aliens and bad aliens?
Good aliens
from what you know?
and bad aliens, and all kinds of ways and reasons for interacting with us.
Storyline, more like Love and Light, and there's a lot of that in the UFO community. You have a very strong contingent of people that believe aliens are angelic, and there's that Love and Light crowd that think they can pray the aliens to come and save us and heal us or whatever. Yeah. I can give tons of personalities that are in that camp. And then you've got, and I'm sure you could too, Rob, and then you've got the kind of like dark, Space Wars saga people that say, aliens are demonic and it's all evil, and we're in this Illuminati world where at the top of the pyramid, the aliens are ruling everything, right? So that's the secret space program sort of lore. You got both those draws that people are really focused on.
Right. And so after Corey Goode's deposition, where he basically admitted that it was all fabricated, did that slow down the SSP movement at all, in your view?
Yeah, I think it did. Even Richard Dolan in the documentary talks about that there was like a wave, and that wave kind of got broken around 2017, 2018. But that's where you have like Jason Rice, Tony Rodriguez, and all these other guys kind of entering the fray and filling that sort of secret space program power vacuum in this sort of entertainment world, in my opinion.
Мама, смотри, что это? Ой, мамочки, что это такое висит? Оно светится еще. Ой, еще как не страшно, мама. Это не дрон. Это не иранцы полетели. Ой, я боюсь. Что это такое? Зачем оно висит?
When you come across a subject like reptilian aliens here on the earth, you better go back and do your homework, because if it sounds crazy, it's probably true. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So I am totally convinced that the world that we live in is being run by entities which are not human. That's my personal belief.
And how tall would you say they would have been? You said children. Let's have a...
I'd say that they were between 3 and 4 feet high.
And let's get into a little description now. What
I remember.
First, how badly damaged did they?
They were burned. And remember, I told you about they had kind of their suits or their coveralls or whatever you want to call them was made out of something like awning or something. We couldn't cut it with bandage scissors, and the only way we got it, Dutch had a knife, and we got it nicked in and ripped it. And they did not have ears per se, and they did not have noses per se. They had orifices, and that's about it.
Were their faces badly burnt?
One of them was really, you could see a whole one if you put the 3 of them together. Right. You know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly, yeah. And was the flesh blackened from the fire?
Oh, yeah.
It really was.
Now, where they had the suits on, we don't know, because when we come off with the suits, their flesh had been so cooked that part of it come off with the suits.
Yeah. Let's take the limbs, the hand, the
hands only had 3 fingers. They didn't have a thumb. They just had like 3, about like that. Hand.
Were they shorter, longer, the same size as humans?
No, they weren't as long as humans. They were more stubby, and they just hung, more or less.
And I don't imagine you got to look at their feet.
Yeah, their feet was built kind of the same way, but now their feet all were burned.
Yeah.
But it looked like they had 3 appendages instead of 5 or 6 or whatever.
talking to people who say that they have been visited by mentored beings. And what's interesting is those mentored beings are telling them to engage with me. And it's getting quite personal because this is happening quite a lot to me. And I don't think I'm important. I'm just a journalist. But what intrigues me is you can't rule out the possibility that what this all is the one phenomenon.
Alright, America, we over here. And look, it's literally the UFOs by the moon.
Man, somebody tell me what this is.
The UFO by the moon.
What kind of lights these is?
And
this
it's
ain't
flying
no
by
plane.
the moon.
It's going straight to the moon.
It's a UFO. Aliens. They going to the moon.
What the heck is that?
And they Daddy, those are aliens. Aliens are the only one having all those lights going around like that.
Yeah, it ain't no airplane, I can tell you that much.
Huh? I wish we could zoom in where you can see what it is.
I'm trying to zoom in.
No, bro, that's the UFOs. Don't go outside tonight, people. This is going to be a crazy leave. And then they're flying towards us.
Yeah.
I wish we had an airplane so we could see what it is.
What kind of formation this is, but man.
But that's a UFO. Only UFOs have those like lights on the bottom blinking.
That's weird.
Yeah, Daddy, that's a UFO. Those are the only things.
Oh, you hold the camera.
These are the only things that have those 4 lights blinking like that. It's a UFO. Y'all, please. Y'all think it's not real. It is real.
What do you make of this pushback report on these interdimensionals and demonic pieces of this, where the Pentagon is saying we can't release that to the American people? Like, what would happen if that's released to us? That we would learn that there are interdimensionals and demonic forces? I think many of us already believe that and know that.
Well, the problem here is a confusion amongst the various phenomena, plural. And this has been a problem for decades, and it's deliberate. For example, there are interstellar extraterrestrial civilizations that, in order to go from A to B through the universe, are crossing through other dimensions. They do not originate from another dimension. There are also phenomena from other dimensions that are extra-dimensional or interdimensional. These are deliberately being conflated and confused to gaslight low information people in public life and in the media for its psychological warfare value. That's it. Now, to unpack that, you have to understand that beginning in the early 90s, I discovered that there were people who had an agenda related to their religiosity as opposed to religion per se, to try to confuse and conflate all of this together. Now, the biggest part of this is also that at least 80% or more of the UAPs seen are our man-made reverse engineered craft. But even the extra-dimensional and interdimensional phenomenon can be stimulated from advanced electromagnetic systems that can pull something out from one dimension into this one, and that has been weaponized by covert human operations. So I think that it's extremely complex. Mr. Hegseth has a very tall order to fill, and I know people on my team who are close with him as well as with the president. We're working to get key information to them. There's going to be a lot of confusion on this because ufology is an amalgam of multiple phenomena being called the same thing, and they aren't. I very comically relate to being with Pope John Paul's senior theologian at the Vatican in the 90s, Monsignor Balducci, and we discussed this, and this was been in probably the mid to late 90s, and he said, look, and he was a demonologist, by the way. His specialty was demonology for the Vatican. And he said, neither angels nor demons require flying saucers. So I think one of the problems here is that you have religious fanatic agendas that are overrunning national security concerns and scientific concerns. And this has been deliberately done. I know that since at least the 50s and 60s, this silly game has been played within CIA and DoD circles.
I'm talking to people at the moment, and this is creepy, but people at the moment who are contacting me, and I've had 3 do it now, from all over the world, who say they've felt an urge to contact me, and they tell me that they've communicated with a blue being that has imbued them and downloaded them with information. And in one case, the person developed an ability to instantaneously understand physics equations, highly complex mathematics. And I've seen them do it.
fallen angels are extraterrestrials, as far as what these government officials are telling me. And the negative Yahweh, that's the angry God of the Old Testament. The angry God of the Old Testament is a Draco. And so you're going to see all of this Draco type of stuff that it's saying and doing, like, I will smite thy firstborn, and I will bathe you in blood, and all this kind of crazy stuff. The Draco live in underground bases. Christians have been saying that Satan lives in hell, and hell is underground. And so there is some kind of weird, subconscious, telepathic thing where we're tapping into something that's true.
What this new knowledge that's coming this year, I predicted that. Well, I didn't predict it. I just told what the lady told me. And this alignment about Regulus.
So when did she say that would be? When did she say that would be?
Well, she didn't tell me when it would be. What she told me, she said, pay attention. She just leaned over to me with this beautiful smile. Mm-hmm. And she said, listen, pay attention to when the star of Regulus. Now, Regulus is a blue star. It's blue. When you look at it, it's blue.
The most powerful in the sky.
Yeah. She said when the star of Regulus appears red on the horizon and before the sun comes up in the gaze of the Sphinx. So the way she showed it to me, it was sitting right on top of the sand, a little ruby. It looked like a red ruby, right on the sand, right in front of the Sphinx, out on the horizon. Right. She said when that happens, that will usher in or mark a new knowledge to humanity. In other words, an awakening, I guess. The same thing that's happening now. So when I first talked about this, I called a friend that's associated with the Edgar Cayce Institute and some folks at NASA, and they come back and said, oh, that's going to be in September of 2026. And I'm like, dang, I didn't even know there'd be an alignment, much less it would be that soon. And so for 8 years, I talked about it on all these podcasts and until I quit talking for a while. And then I went back to talking about it. And I was saying, you can review them to September 23rd or 2026. Well, when I wrote the book in 2023, when I published it, I went back and I fact checked before I wrote it. I wanted to be sure. And so I called my friend from the Edgar Cayce place. She's associated with that. It's a literary agent that publishes astronomy books and astrologers. So she has a group of people that can do the research. She come back and said, man, we made a mistake. We think it's going to be Easter. Well, like, well, she comes every year on Easter. Maybe that makes sense. So I wrote it that way, right?
So this is Easter of 26, or?
Yeah, I wrote it that way because she came back telling me that they had made a mistake. But honestly, I never really was sure about it. And now I have since the book was published, all these astronomers are calling me, professional ones and astrologers, saying, we're seeing October. But what makes sense is the scientists that I'm talking to are saying that they know it'll be in the fall because the dust from the Sahara fulfills the atmosphere in October. And that's when they believe it'll turn ruby red on the horizon. But I don't know. I don't know. She told me, she gave me she said when it does this, right? So I don't know when that will happen, but I think the knowledge is already here.
Descubren restos del terrorífico SCP-96 congelado.
Air balloon. What? I can understand. What is that thing? What the heck? Ah! This is a monster head! Wow! I just cannot believe my eyes! Guys! Oh my gosh. That's a monster head! Look, that is his eyes.
Un demonio real.
Giant mouth. That's his head. Or maybe there is a whole body of a monster right under this.
UFOs been going wild, so I'm saying if I'm catching one, let me go ahead and... Yeah.